Okay, so what you're gonna need for this video is this sheet that I gave you guys to work with the workbook page from lesson 9. Okay. Your color up here is a little bit different than mine, but it's the same thing. For reference, for help, we glued in some things in our math notebook, if you remember, right? We had 3 pages. So we had our define it page where we really talked about the meaning of shift, solve, and understanding, and talking about how we want to change our mind or shift our mind from just being this math solver to understanding math. And then these 2 sheets, while they seem long, this is just what our mind should be thinking when we're doing this work. But you can always be looking back on this sheet as well, okay? So this was for problem 10. This will be for 11. So I'm going to go ahead and do problem 11. Okay. We've talked a lot about place values and how that place value system it shows up in all the math that we're going to be working on this year. So much of the math that it is a pattern, and we just have to constantly be practicing with it so that it becomes something that we are thinking about when we're doing the work. That's how we become a math mind that is understanding and not just a math mind that is solving and trying to get the answers, okay? So I have told kids that they can just start to use these dots in the place values because when we increase grades, our numbers that we're dealing with get larger, and so we try to be more efficient with our time. However, some kids are still comfortable using the place value model, so I will show an example of that as well, okay? We're going to go ahead and do number 11. I'm going to model what number 11 should look like. We are taking 3,749 away from 8,502. We are going to model the number on the place value chart that we are taking away from. So that'll be our top number. So we're going to put 8 thousands, and I have told kids to group in 5s. Make it look like it would be our quick tens, not quick tens, what's it called? Tens frame. Okay, make it look like the tens frame because our mind sees those patterns. We have 500s. We have 0 tens, and we have 2 ones. We're going to start with our ones place. This problem wants us to take 9 ones away from 2 ones. We don't have enough ones available to be able to take 9 ones away. When that happens, we go to the next place value. So we're looking at our tens place. We would want to try to borrow from there, but there's nothing here to borrow from. So if that's the case, then we go over to our next place value. So when we're borrowing and ungrouping, we're going to represent that by circling one of those dots, and we're going to ungroup it into the tens place. So 100 is the same thing as 10 tens. So I'm going to make 10 tens. And then now I can finally borrow from the tens to ungroup into the ones. And 110 is equal to 10 ones. Now we have 11 ones, and we can take 9 ones away from 11 ones. So just to show you how this does represent what we're doing here, let's go ahead and do what we just did on the place value chart. We cannot take 9 ones away from 2 ones. We cannot borrow from nothing. So we went to the hundreds and we borrowed a group. We ungrouped it into the tens. Then we borrowed a group from the tens, and we ungrouped it into the ones. And if you take a look, in our ones place, we say we have 12 ones. Oops, I forgot to put, that should have been 2, right? Okay. we now have 12 ones there. I'm glad I checked that, right? So we have 12 ones, 12 ones, 9 tens, 9 tens, because we don't count if it's been circled, it's been borrowed, okay? 9 tens available. And then 4 hundreds. I have 4 hundreds here. So let's go ahead and take 9 tens, my goodness, 9 ones away. So it doesn't matter where you cross off. I would just do whatever is going to be best for you visually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 3 ones left. In my tens place, can I take 4 tens away from 9 tens? I can. I don't have to do any kind of ungrouping. So I'm actually going to cross off 4 tens, and that leaves me with 5. And 9 minus 4 is 5. Now I'm in the hundreds, and it wants us to take away 7 hundreds. Well, I only have 4 hundreds available, so that's not enough. So I'm going to borrow from the thousands. 1,000 is 10 hundreds. So we talked about how this is that pattern that we see. Every time we're borrowing 1 from a larger place value, it's going to be ungrouped into 10 in the place value that's right next to it. So if we were doing this right here, we would borrow from the thousands and ungroup to make 14. So we match here, right? This is 10 oranges right here, and then 4, so that's 14. And then we have 7 thousands left, and that's what we have right here. Now there's enough available, and we can subtract 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 3 and 4. We have 7 left. 14 minus 7 is 7. And then we have 3 thousands that we want to take away from 7 thousands. We can do that. So 1, 2, 3. We're left with 4. And 7 minus 3 is 4. So that's what this assignment is all about. Okay, I want them doing this place value modeling first. It's just really hammering in where we're borrowing from, what we're borrowing, how that ungroups. Those patterns are important. If your child prefers to still use the place value model, so when I say that, I mean like the thousands bars, this is what number 11 would have looked like. We would have 8 thousands bars, 500s boxes, 0 tens, and 2 ones. We want to take 9 ones away from 2 ones. We cannot do that. We cannot borrow from the tens because there's nothing here, so we're going to go borrow from the hundreds. We would still circle it and ungroup it into here. But instead of doing the dots, we're going to do quick tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we can borrow a 10 and ungroup it. Now we can subtract 9 ones. And we're still left with 3, just like up above. In the tens, it wants us to subtract 4. We have enough available to be able to do that. And we're left with 5 quick tens. In the hundreds, it wants us to take 7 hundreds away, but we only have 4 available. So we're going to borrow from the thousands and ungroup 10 hundreds. Now we have 14 hundreds, and we can take 7 hundreds away. And we'd be left with 7. And then in the thousands, we're taking 3,000s away from 7,000s. And we have 4 left. So, same system. Okay. They can do whichever they like. I prefer the dots, especially because, like I said, we're getting into larger numbers. But some kids still want to do the place value models. Okay. Just as long as they're putting them in the place value chart like this. So their assignment is to complete this and then do their answer over here. And they're only going up to number 24. I don't want them doing the word problems right now. Alrighty.